Hey YouTube, Jam here, and welcome back to the gaming station. So, last week, when I was talking with Incendium, and we were going over Gale Star Power rework, I mentioned that I didn't really like the rework, because I thought that it was kind of killing his diversity in terms of, build diversity. And what I meant by that was kind of basically, he could fill different roles depending on either the star power or the gadget that he was running. Obviously, he only has one gadget right now, but his two star powers were very distinct. One was clearly a support one, while the other one was clearly a control one. That's going to be today's video idea. I want to go over some brawlers that I think have the potential to fill different roles depending on how you build them when they get their second gadget. Now, I focused only on adding a gadget to these brawlers. I didn't really think of reworking star powers or something because that's a lot more work and the video would be a lot longer. But I could do that in the future for a few brawlers because there are brawlers that I think have that potential if you rework one of their star powers and give them another gadget. But like I said, that would be a longer video. So if you want to hear something like that, if you enjoy this, let me know down in the comments below. But real quick, I want to go over some brawlers that I think actually currently have build diversity in the game. And we just either don't think about it or we just overlook it. And the first one I'm going to go over is Crow. Now, while Crow is really bad right now, and in my opinion, he's one of the worst brawlers in the game, he does have two distinct star powers and two distinct gadgets. So obviously his star powers are Carrying Crow, which allows him to deal more damage after an enemy is below half health, and Extra Toxic, which limits the amount of damage an opponent can deal while they're poisoned. And then his gadgets are his Defense Booster, which gives him a shield that reduces damage by, I think it's 60% for a few seconds. And his second gadget is Slowing Toxin, which reduces enemy movement speed while they're poisoned. So basically, the best way to set Crow up is either run Carrying Crow with Defense Booster. That way it allows you to play a more of an aggro role, being able to do more damage after you get an enemy down below half health. And then if you want to use your super to jump in and get a kill, or just take a more advantaged position in the map, you can use your shield to reduce your damage when you land. Or you can play Crow in a more passive and support way by running Extra Toxic and Slowing Toxin. This allows you to reduce the damage that your team's going to take by poisoning as many enemies as you possibly can, and then you can slow them down by activating your gadget whenever it's advantage to your team, whether that's, stopping somebody from getting a goal in Brawl Ball, or if you freeze them right before they're about to escape and your teammate can finish them off. And that's basically what I mean by build diversity. Those setups on Crow are very distinct, different playstyles, but they both still work, and they both can be effective. Well, they could be effective if Crow was better in the meta, but that's a different story. The next example of a diverse build setup that I want to go over is Bo. Now, Bo, obviously one of these is going to be way better than the other, but it is a different playstyle, so that's why I want to talk about it. So, Bo has a control setup by running Tripwire and Snare Bear. Basically, you can use your mines to limit opponents' movement throughout the map, and if they try to trigger your mines, you can punish them by using the gadget to trip the mines and stun them. And then Bo also has a support setup. Now, you can run either star power with this quote-unquote support setup, but the big thing is making sure you're running his super totem. Now, I say you can run either star power because you don't really want to run Circling Eagle unless you're on a map specifically good for Circling Eagle. So on those maps, you're obviously going to want to run Snare Bear, but that's not a problem with the idea of a build. That's more of a problem with Circling Eagle itself because it's so situational. Anyway, running his super totem allows him to put his totem down, and it gives his teammates the ability to charge their supers without having to deal damage. So in that sense, Bo is supporting them. So when you're playing these two different styles, when you're running the control setup with Snare Bear and Tripwire, you're focusing on limiting where your opponents can move through the map. And when you're playing with the super totem, you want to try to keep your totem up in a advantaged place where your teammates can still contribute to the fights, but also are gaining the advantage of charging their super without actually having to deal the damage. And the last brawler that I want to use as an example for build diversity is Barley. Now, Barley's got two very distinct star powers and two very distinct gadgets. His star powers being Extra Noxious, which allows him to deal more damage with his normal attacks, and Medical Use, which heals him every time he does a normal attack. And then his gadgets are Sticky Syrup Mixer, which slows enemies that are caught in the solution, and Herbal Tonic, which allows you to throw bottles at your teammates and give them a healing pool for them to stand in while they're fighting. So, in my opinion, Barley can have more of an aggro setup if he runs Extra Noxious and Sticky Syrup Mixer. Man, that's hard to say. This allows Barley to do more damage every time he attacks, and then if he needs to back out of a fight, say like if a tank gets close to him or if enemies are starting to gain more control, he can drop his gadget and slow them down from advancing. And then Barley can have more of a passive playstyle by running Medical Use and Herbal Tonic. In this setup, you kind of want to hang in the back, and you want to just keep doing chip damage and trying to control areas with your normal attack, and that's going to keep you continuously healed because you keep attacking and you keep healing yourself because you're star power. Then you got to pay attention to your teammates and watch their HP, and I would say right around when they're about 50% HP, you use your gadget, and that gives them the pool so they can heal, kind of like having multiple Pam stations down. So those are 3 examples of brawlers that I think can have completely different build styles. So now I want to talk about 3 brawlers that I think, when they get their second gadget, can also have different build styles. And the first one I want to go over, because we just mentioned her, is Pam. So right now, Pam has 2 pretty distinct star powers. I would say that Mama's Hug is more of an aggro star power because it allows her to be more aggressive and get heals while she's dealing damage. Although there is an argument to say that it is more of a support role. It just depends on how you're actually playing Pam at that time. But Mama's Squeeze is most definitely a control style star power, as it offers area of denial, and it's not a very huge area, but you can use it around like a gem mine or something and it's going to make opponents take damage. And I would say her gadget is more of a control / support gadget. I say that because she can use it to control her lane when she has her turret down, and it gives her an instant 1200 heal as soon as she starts getting low, or it can be support by having your teammates run over to it, and when you notice that they're low and they need to get back in the fight quickly, you can pop your gadget and heal them too. So when I talk about adding a second gadget to a brawler, I want to try to focus on the opposite of what their current gadget does. So since Pam's current gadget is more of a control-based gadget, I want her next gadget to be more of an aggro-based gadget. So the idea for this gadget it's called Compressor. And basically what this would do is kind of like what Shelly's Clay Pigeons does. It would compress her next shot so it has a lot less spread. This would do a couple of things. It would pair really well with Mama's Hug, allowing her to get a lot more heal because more of her shots are going to land. And it also allows her to deal more damage because, like I said, more of her shots are going to land because it's going to have way less spread. Also, I called it Compressor because there's a thing called an air compressor, and that's what I thought, her gun would use, so that was my idea behind that. But anyway, like I said, this would pair very well with Mama's Hug, allowing her to land more shots and keep more sustain when she's in 1v1 fights, and she could win those 1v1 fights because she can do more damage just by popping that gadget. So that would be one of the build setups. Her aggro setup would be running Mama's Hug and Compressor. And then her passive / control build would be running Mama's Squeeze and Pulse Modulator, her healing gadget. This would allow her to really lock down an area by having a ton of healing the entire time she's in her super, and then having area of denial from her super because of her star power. Alright, moving on. The next brawler I want to talk about is going to be Leon. So Leon's got 2 pretty aggressive star powers. I would argue that Invisi-Heal is a little more passive because you can use it to back out of fights and heal yourself while you're running away. Where Smoke Trails is going to be pretty much exclusively good at engaging with targets from a distance. So you're going to use your super, get your speed boost, and then just run right at somebody. And then as far as his current gadget, Clone Projector, I would argue that's more of a aggro gadget because you're going to use it basically to waste your opponent's ammo and to confuse them when you're engaging with them. So that means for the second gadgets I want to propose, they're either going to be passive or support gadgets. And I had an idea for one of each. So the idea for a support gadget for Leon I had is going to be called Smoke Bombs. Now this would put down an area of effect that would make teammates invisible for a certain amount of time. Kind of like Sandy Super, but a lot smaller. I could see this being effective on maps where there's a decent amount of bush, but some open space as well. So you could put the smoke bomb down and your teammate can go hide in the smoke bomb, and then towards the end of it go hide in the bush, so it kind of throws off opponents if they're not paying attention to where your teammate might have went. And in that sense, it's kind of like Rosa's gadget that's only temporary. And the other idea I had is more of a passive idea for Leon, and that idea is Trip Mine. So basically, after Leon uses his super, while he's invisible, he can put a mine down anywhere in the map. Using the mine wouldn't reveal his location like if he were to attack, and if an opponent steps on it, it would either do a lot of damage or it would stun them. Now, like I said, he would only be able to use this when his super is active, kind of like how Nita and Jessie can only use their gadgets when their supers are active. And it won't cancel out your super because then it would be kind of pointless because then you're just wasting your super just to put a mine down, and then people are going to be pretty sure where it possibly might be. So now that I'm saying it out loud, the trip mine kind of feels more like an aggro one because it pairs really well with smoke trails because it would allow you to use your super, get up the map, put the mine down, and then try to get a kill. But the idea I had when saying that it's passive is that it offers area of denial, kind of like Bo's mines, where those are kind of passive. You put them down and then they're there and your opponents have to play around them. And this gadget idea would have a very similar effect to that. So the builds I envision for Leon is that you would run Invisi-Heal with smoke bombs, and that would allow you to heal yourself when you get into a fight and run away. And it would allow you to support your team by putting down the area of effect, letting them hide, and then trying to connect that to bushes so that they can, keep opponents guessing. Or if Trip Mine was added, when you're running away with Invisi-Heal, you could put down the mine, and then opponents that try to chase you will either hit the mine and take a lot of damage or get stunned, and then you could finish them off. So that would be the passive build. And then the aggro build would be with Clone Projector and Smoke Trails. Now, I don't have either of Leon's star powers, and I know this is obviously a build that's in the game. I don't know if it's popular or not, but my idea behind it is that if you're hiding in a bush, you send out your clone, and then you use your super, and then that gives you the ability to run up behind or out on the side of an opponent, and then once they use a couple of their shots, you can get close and kill them. But if that's not how it actually works in game, feel free to roast me down in the comments because, I'm just trying to speculate here. Alright, moving on. So the next brawler I want to talk about is Max. Now, in my opinion, Max is probably the most unique of the brawlers that I've mentioned because she is both an aggro and a support brawler at the exact same time. Now, what I mean by that is her super is a support super, clearly. It gives your teammates a speed boost, and it's super helpful in almost every mode, being able to dodge more shots or get up the map more quickly. But the rest of her kit is a very aggro kit. She has 4 shots, and she's got a ton of burst damage potential, plus a very fast movement speed. It allows her to get in opponents' faces and burst them down very quickly. And then Running Gun and her Gadget take that aggro style a little bit further by allowing her to reload her ammo a lot quicker, and giving her a gap closing ability plus an invincibility shield when she's using it. However, Supercharged is clearly a very passive star power, allowing her to charge her super just by moving, and it allows her to charge her super very quickly when she's in the middle of a poke fight, because you should be constantly strafing left and right while poking and doing damage, which both actions are going to charge your super by doing damage and moving. So, because she has an aggro gadget, I want to try to think of a passive gadget for her, and I think I got a pretty good idea, plus I really like the name, so let me know what you think. And that idea is going to be Soothing Sprint. Now, what would happen when you activate this gadget is an aura would come out around Max for a certain amount of time, and it would heal all your teammates within your area. Now, this would work like Jean's Magic Puff star power, where only your teammates are affected by it, not you. And the idea I had behind that is that if you were running Running Gun and this gadget, you could heal yourself and be super aggro with it. So I wanted to keep this kind of like a passive idea, so that's why I decided that. So this would give Max 2 support abilities between her super and her gadget, and it would promote team play for her a lot more. So for Max's passive / support role, I could see her running Supercharged and Soothing Sprint. This would promote her to stay closer to her teammates, charge her super a lot, and whenever they get low, use her gadget to try to heal them up pretty quickly. I can see this working well in modes like Gem Grab and Siege, where the main idea is that you want to try to control the map. She's not played there a lot, but she's definitely used in those modes competitively. And then in her more popular modes like Heist and Brawl Ball, I could see the aggro setup being a lot better. Using Running Gun and Phase Shifter to try to play more aggressively, getting kills, getting up the map quicker, and using her dash to close gaps and be invincible to soak up damage and stuff. So I focused on gadgets a lot in this video because it was the easiest way to do it, but the thing I really want to iterate is that I think Brawl Stars should try to make it so that brawlers can play multiple different roles in a team depending on how they're built. And not every brawler is going to be able to do that. A lot of the tank brawlers are pretty much stuck in their aggro roles where they're going to be doing what they're going to do right now. But brawlers like Pam, Poco, Max, Leon, I feel like they can definitely diversify a little bit if you give them the right star powers and gadgets. So I just wanted to focus on gadgets today, like I said at the beginning of the video, because it's easier to think of a gadget that would fit the other side of a role as opposed to trying to rework whole star powers. And also, like I said at the beginning of the video, that would take a lot more time. But let me know what you think about my gadget ideas, and also if you'd like to see me try to rework some star powers and add another gadget to certain brawlers, I could do that in another video as well. Let me know about that as well. Also, as a side note, little bit of channel promotion right here. I'm going to start streaming on Saturday mornings, 10 a.m. Eastern Time, US, to probably noon or so. If you want to come by and hang out in the stream, ask some questions, play some games together, I would really like it because we did it last week and it was a lot of fun. So if you're interested, drop by. Let's hang out. But anyway, that's going to do it for this video. I want to thank everyone for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.